So what is Robin going to provide for her teams? In this video, we're just going to be explaining Robin's kit. We're going to be explaining mainly how her talents and traits work, and where she can generally be used, and her competition, and maybe if she's worth pulling. But before we do that though, if you want to pull for Robin, it can give you a cheaper way to get J's. The best and one of the safest ways to do that is going to be throughout lootbar GG. Lootbar is going to be a safe and secure top-up website that's going to allow you to get cheaper shards for your Honkai Star Rail account. It's 100% safe and secure. Let me show you guys how to use lootbar. So you're just going to click the link in the comments and go to Honkai Star Rail, and then you're going to choose which offer you want. For example, I'm going to buy the 3,280 shards. If I buy that from the in-game store, it's going to cost me around $50, but on lootbar it's going to cost $42 only. If you also use the 5% coupon for newcomers, you're going to save up even more money. So after all of that, it's going to be around 20% off. That means I saved around $10 for this purchase. Then you're just going to put in your user ID and the server region. Your user ID is just a number down left from your screen, and then the region is going to show before you open your game. Make sure to double check those because that's going to be very important to get your shards. And then when you finish, you can just click on top up now. You enter your payment method and information, and then you're done. You're just going to wait a little bit for the payment to process. For me, it took around like 10 minutes. And then when you open up the game the next time, you're going to get the shards. Also, if it's your first time buy-in, especially after the 2.1 reset, you're still going to gain the normal double offers and stuff like that, like you're buying from in-game. Click the link in the comments to recharge now. Alright, now back to the video and starting off with how Robin works. First of all, she's going to be a physical harmony unit. Obviously, she's harmony, so she's going to be specialized at buffing your characters and making sure they do more damage. So she's a support, but she's actually quite interesting. She can also deal some of her own damage, and we're going to see that in a little bit. But starting off with her basic attacks, it's just going to be simple physical damage. You're just going to choose an enemy, attack them, deals physical damage, and that's it. There's nothing really special about that, so we can just skip it. Now, moving on to her elemental skill, it's just going to increase the damage dealt by all of your allies, lasting for 3 turns. Now, the damage bonus is obviously going to be less than what something like Bronya can provide, for example, or like Sparkle or whatever, but the thing is, it's going to be provided to all allies, and it's still going to be more than the damage bonus than something like Ron May is going to provide. I mean, Ron May also gives you like breaking efficiency, but yeah, the damage bonus on itself is just going to be higher, and provided that it's going to buff all of your allies, that's going to be super good. It's also going to last for a whole 3 turns, so she's going to be very skill point positive actually. It's just going to decrease when she gets her own turn, which is pretty good. If your turn is delayed or something like that, that means you're still going to get the buffs, so it's even better. And obviously it's going to last for 3 turns, so it's going to be more than enough for her to be like skill point positive. Also, from her Ascension 6 trace, every time you use your elemental skill, it's going to regenerate 5 energy. That's also going to be pretty good. Now, as I said, she's going to be skill point positive. You're not going to be using your skill as much, but that 5 energy is going to help her still, so I guess it's cool. Especially because we're going to get there and we're going to see that her elemental burst is going to be a little bit of a problem to get enough energy for. Alright, so now moving on to her ultimate. Now for ultimate, when you press it, she's just going to enter the Concerto state, and it's going to make all of your allies take her action immediately. So when you use it, all of your team members are going to have their turns like right away. It's just like a triple Broadway skill in an ultimate. But on top of that, it's going to increase their attack. It's going to increase their attack based around Robin's own attack plus a base amount. And then when they attack while she's in that state, she's going to deal extra physical damage to their attacks. It's like Tengyun's elemental skill. This attack though is only going to scale their attack because it's going to have a set crit stat. It's going to have 100% crit rate, so it's always going to crit, and 150% crit damage. It doesn't matter if you have less or more crit rate or less or more crit damage. Those are the crit stats she's going to have for this attack. So building crit on her is not going to matter at all. So you can just focus on attack. It's going to scale with attack, and then the crit amount is just set. And this attack is just going to happen every time an ally attacks an enemy. It doesn't matter which attack he uses or if the attack is big or small. Every time any ally attacks, it's unlimited. As long as she's in the state, she's going to deal extra physical damage with them, which can be OP at times. We're going to talk about it more in a little bit. And then finally, when she's in that state, she cannot really take her turn or take action. She's also immune to crowd control debuffs, so nothing really happened to her. Now, also from her Ascension 4 trace, when any of your allies launches a follow-up attack, its crit damage is going to be increased by 25%. So it's going to be a decent follow-up attack. But now, finally, how are you going to leave this ultimate? It's just going to add in like an extra turn on your turn bar. That's the Concerto turn. When it reaches its turn, this is going to end. So the ultimate is going to last as long as that Concerto thingy didn't reach its turn on the bar. Also, it's going to have 90 speed, so that's going to be quite low. And it's going to give you quite a bit of time to take advantage out of her burst. So yeah, to recite his ultimate is going to be pretty simple. You enter it, it's going to give you a turn on the action bar. As long as this turn didn't reach, it's going to be buffing all of your allies. When the turn reaches, the ultimate is going to end and Robin's going to take action. That's it. Her ultimate is going to cost 160 energy, unfortunately, which is is very, very expensive. So it's going to be kind of hard to have her energy on good uptime at like 100%, which is one of the biggest problems with her. And it's actually going to restrict her synergy with a lot of teammates. But that can be eased down a little bit by her talent. So moving on to her talent, it's just going to increase all of her allies' crit damage. That's just a simple flat increase. And then when any ally attacks an enemy, Robin's going to regenerate 2 energy for herself. As we said before, she needs a lot of energy. So that's going to be actually a very good source to supplement her energy needs. But as you guys can see here, she's going to regenerate energy every time any allies attack. Again, it doesn't matter which attack, how strong is it, or which source it came from. It's just that when any ally attacks, Robin's going to regenerate energy. So obviously what matters here is the volume. As I said before, same thing with her extra damage. So she's going to synergize pretty well with allies that are going to attack with more volume. Like the number of attacks is what going to matter for Robin, nothing else. And then finally, you have your Ascension 2 trace. It's that every time the battle starts, your action is going to be advanced forward by 25%. So Robin's turn is going to be a little bit advanced. That's it. That's actually is going to be pretty good because you want to use her elemental skill first thing to buff all of your allies, and then she's going to be regenerating skill points. So it's going to kind of lower the amount of speed you're going to build on her, which is pretty good. Her technique is that it's just going to create a dimension. When you're inside it, the enemies are not going to attack you for 15 seconds. And if you enter a battle while this dimension is active, Robin's going to regenerate 5 energy for each wave. So yeah, it's actually a pretty good technique. It's going to regenerate some energy, which you're going to need a lot. Alright, so now that we explained how she works, I'm just going to give you a quick thoughts about Robin in general and why or when you should maybe consider going for her. So as we've seen, the key notes about Robin, the key things that she brings, like the new things, or not new things, just like her special things, is that she's going to be giving you team-wide buffs, which we don't really have a lot of in this game except for like Ron May, and I think that's it pretty much. So for like dual DPS teams, for example, and stuff like that, she's going to be pretty decent. She's also going to provide them from her ultimate and also from her elemental skill, which is super good. So yeah, dual DPS teams are going to appreciate Robin for sure. The second thing is that she's going to be synergizing pretty well with characters who attack with like a large volume, which means they just attack a lot. The characters who do that in this game are going to be follow-up attackers mostly. She also has some extra crit damage for them on her kit, so obviously she's going to synergize pretty well with follow-up attackers. Maybe synergize a little too well, to be honest, because they're also going to be regenerating some energy for her, and without them, she's going to lack with energy, that's for sure. You're not going to have full uptime on your elemental bursts or anything close to that. So you definitely want to use her in teams where you have follow-up attackers, or at least one follow-up attacker. So in these specific teams, like dual DPS follow-up attackers, Robin's going to excel a lot, obviously, and she's going to be the best support for them, or the best harmony. But in any other type of team, I think she easily can be outclassed by like Bronya or Sparkle or like Ron May or whatever. I don't really think she's that good for any other team. She's definitely going to be a viable support, like that's for sure, but she's not going to be competing very well. If you already have one of these three, then getting Robin is not really going to add any benefits. It might be even low worse. But for follow-up attack teams, as I said, she's going to be a very viable option, especially because her ultimate is going to have a good uptime. So you're going to see pretty decent buffs on a very good uptime, which makes her very, very good. So yeah, these are my quick thoughts on Robin for right now. Hopefully you guys understood her general idea. If you guys leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Hopefully I see you with more videos for Robin. So yeah, in a bit.